back to the off-season episode here of the Tennessee Titans franchise 4th season. We're now going to be rebuilding the team, preparing it for another hopefully successful season. We really have had quite a lot of a lot of things happening this season. All right, we started out fantastically. We ended the season 43. We entered the playoffs, and then in the end we won the Super Bowl. But we had so many injuries. We had to backfill. We had to improvise, and we just prevailed. Super happy about how that worked out. The off-season episode focuses on trades, focuses on the free agency period, focuses on player negotiations, focuses on the draft as well. Then I cut it, and then in preseason episode, we're going to be doing the last finishing touches to this team. So, how are we going to approach this? Well, first off, we're going to take a look at the season recap. Quite simply, the two-time Super Bowl champion Tennessee Titans win MVP was Treylon Burks, much deserved. The overall MVP was Pat Mahomes. All right, Mike McCarthy, yes, offensive player Pat Mahomes, defensive player Micah Parsons, Malachi Nelson, offensive rookie, quarterback and defensive rookie Kay Flanagan for the Broncos. I can live with all of that. What I wanted to take a look at with you is just a few of the season stats that we did have happening in this season, how that panned out. Individual player stats, all right? I think that just taking a few spotlights here, not going into detail here, but overall I think that Will Levis is doing really well. 31 touchdowns, 2,621 yards. I think that is really, really good because it just speaks of a high efficiency, right? When you look at the seasons, he did have similar stats here. Taking a look at the yardage. Here he had more, 3,000 yards, but here, of course, he was cut short due to his injury. He would have broken that 3,000 yard barrier, no problem, but he scored 31 touchdowns. All right, 3 interceptions. All right, we can work with that. But apart from that, his sacks went down very much. The completion rate went up, and the touchdowns doubled without having way more yards. So I do think that is really a very, very good thing to look at. A great stat. I really like that. Malik Willis showed what he can do, and I think he deserved this raise in development trait. I did push him up to a star def trait. I also gave him a little bit of a visual makeover. You can see that he got the quarterback glove thingy on the left-hand side. I just felt like it was time for him to get that because, I mean, he freaking earned it, all right? He freaking won a Super Bowl, all right? And he stepped in pretty late in the season. 969 yards, 11 touchdowns, super efficient. All right, completion rate could be better, but I don't really care too much about that. He had a really good season, capped it off with the Super Bowl win, so that is just much deserved. On the rushing side, Tyjae Spears 164 attempts, 960 yards. On average, 5.9, 5 touchdowns this season, and average rushes per game in yards. So the thing is, he was injured a lot, all right? So Chris McAdams had to take over here. Again, when we look at this here, we can see that he has improved in terms of the yardage, and that is just super important, just carrying the team forward. The touchdowns have gone down from 10 to 5, but he has doubled his yardage in comparison to 2024. And while still maintaining the same touchdown ratio, I think that is extremely important. 0 fumbles, 21 broken tackles. That is fantastic. All right, very happy with that. Chris McAdams stepped up when I needed him. We're not going to dive too deep in those stats here, but if you were to take a look here with me, you would see that he really, really improved a lot. All right, he got way more game time. He got way more yardage. Of course, he's the second running back now, and he's stepping up whenever Tyjae Spears is injured. So, of course, more game time. J.D. Bradley, 213 yards despite really not getting a lot of game time, right? Very happy with that as well. I really like this setup. Mixon, we're going to be cutting him. And then, of course, we're going to have all the other players here that did rush, but we're not going to dive too deep, as I said. The top receiver, Chig Okonkwo, no surprise there, fully deserves that. 1,437 yards, crazy good numbers. And for him as well, he did go up to an X Factor, which is just absolutely awesome. And taking a look here, you can see he got 14 touchdowns this season, 1,437 yards. Last season, 1,226 yards. And he's just getting better and better. So that is fantastic. All the others, really happy with them as well. There are no big standout players here when you compare these. Apart from Chig, all these are very much in the same ballpark. Then we've got slight drops because these players aren't the top receivers, of course, but they're still chipping in and being helpful. The offensive line, again, the sacks allowed. Yes, a few were allowed. Jaelyn, Duncan, Dowell, Graham, Barton. Here we've got the games played, and then over here we've got the downs played. So you can just see who were the players that got the most downs. On defense, taking a look at the solo tackles, that is Kenneth Murray Jr. with the 66. That's the clear leader. Same goes for the total tackles. Tackles for loss, beautiful, 6 for Tiertard. Then the sack numbers, I love that. I love that it's Jeffrey Simmons and then it's James Houston the fourth. I'm very happy with this player. Really, I'm 27 and he's getting in there. He's doing extremely well. We also got a few interceptions this season. And taking a look at the kick percentage, Evan McPherson, I just don't have anything apart from good things to say about him. Individual player stats, all right. Taking a look at the leaderboard, all right, I'm 9th here, so that works. Next one to catch is Sean McVay, who's currently at the Bucks. That's interesting. The team stats, I think we all know what this is going to look like. But I did find an interesting part in these stats. First off, defense is pretty clear-cut, all right. We're just topping that one. We're just really, really good on defense, right? We're allowing not a lot of yards. Total yards allowed 4,300. That's approximately 700 less than the second best team. We allow the pass yards allowed, same thing. The rushing yards allowed, same thing. The points allowed, same thing. Sacks, all right. Steelers got more, causing fumbles. Fumble recoveries, 10. We're not the first here. And for interceptions, it's the same thing. But when you then look at the offense, and this was an interesting find for me, right? We are pretty far down, right? Just take my word for it. We're pretty far down here. Where are we? Here we go. Number 30, all right? So that is really not great. Taking a look at the offensive yards, 6,639 for the Chiefs. Alrighty. Passing yards, well, alrighty, here we go. Rush yards, alrighty. Points per game. That was an interesting stat because we are here. Bottom team right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th ranked team in the league, despite being that far down in offense, all right? Just speaks volumes. So that was this stat. Then taking a look at the passing touchdowns. All right, where are we? We're here. We're not that far off, all right? We're 6 touchdowns behind the first ranked team. Rushing touchdowns were far off because we use the rushing to move across the field, but we don't always score those touchdowns via running it in. But I don't really think that we are bad in any way, shape, or form, especially with the passing touchdowns, especially looking at the points per game. I think it just says we need less yards to achieve good numbers. Well, that's pretty positive. All right, with that said and done, we're going to be ending the analysis section regarding last season. I think everybody got a reward that should get a reward. We're now going to be checking out the retirements. So here we go. Who retired? Well, Shaq Mason retires, all right. Denzel Perriman, he was on board as a mentor. Grady Jarrett, Zadarius Smith. I've got DJ Humphries, Tyrann Mathieu retires, Travis Kelce retires, Aaron Donald. Big leakage here for the Los Angeles Rams. Big names, Ryan Kelly, David Bakhtiari, Cody Whitehair. All these are big names, all right? But I just think the Rams really got hit hard on offense and defense. Gerald Everett, Devondre Campbell, DeAndre Hopkins retires as a Bronco. Interesting. Bradbury, Tomlinson, Robert Woods. Just taking a look here and just moving down here. You can just move ahead or pause, whichever way you like. Just checking if there's any players in there that we should really name. All right, a few good names in there, but for the time being, we're not going to dive too deep. Next up, weekly awards. We did get some. So Treylon Burks, 7 receptions, 185 yards, 26.4 on average, 1 touchdown. And Kenneth Murray Jr. with 8 tackles. Just fantastic. Shedeur Sanders, of course, NFC offensive player. And John Thompson, 5 tackles as a free safety for the Cardinals in the Super Bowl. All right, so now that we have all that covered, I will be moving week by week. And yeah, see you next week when we're going to be taking a look at player negotiations. Big choice here, Joe Alt. Yes, of course I want to re-sign him. Of course I want to accept the option. However, I could also not accept the option, which means we will have to negotiate with him next season. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and negotiate with him next season. I don't want to give him a 1-year deal worth 24 mil. That is just stupid. Cube Luke Kelly. Resign interest is medium. We got him out of free agency. Damian Bushrod. Well, I think I want to keep him around. These are the players that I did bring up from the practice squad partly. Matt Juden, nope. Trent Brown, nope. Joe Mixon, nope. AJ Dillon, nope. Dave Atkinson, 65 at age 23. Or Greg Snow, 68 at age 23. I think Dave Atkinson, was he the one that was a scheme fit? Nah, he wasn't. All right, I think we're going to go with Greg Snow. So Jackson Carman, that's a no as well. But Greg Snow, I do think that we're just going to give him a little bit of money. I mean, or let's not do that. I'm going to be taking a look at the free agents. There's bound to be some young quarterbacks in there. Both of these aren't that crazy good, so we might as well do that. Damian Bushrod, on the other hand, I mean, 1 year, that does sound sensible, and he's a D-tackle, he's a scheme fit. I do think that this is not the worst idea. I cannot sign him, though. Is this correct? Is this correct? Do I need to cut players to do that? Make offer? All right. Yeah, no, I can't re-sign anybody. All right, this is... that is interesting, but all right. I will not go for the 5th-year option with Joe Alt. We're just going to test the waters here, see what happens. All right, we're in week 1 of free agency now, and we've got the combine results that are in. I won't be taking a look at these right now. I'm going to take a look at the prospects later on in the draft. Right now, we need to take a look at our team. We've got 60 names or 60 players on the team. We've got negative salary cap, so we couldn't sign anybody anyways. And I just want to take a look at a few parts of this team, and just want to kind of give you an idea of what I will be doing here. All right, so first off, the quarterbacks, dead happy with those. All right, we've got the running back room. Pretty happy with that as well. All right, we've got the starting 3 running backs, and then we've got Oscar Bennett, who is a future starter. He can move to the practice squad. All good. Derrick Henry stays as a fullback. Works for me. The wide receivers, again, we've got quite a few names in here, but down here we only have Dominic Lovett and Clyde Davis, both of which I don't really think that we have to keep around. 24 and 75 is as good as Colton Dowell is, but again, Colton Dowell has been with us for a longer time, so I would really like to keep him. And then we have better, younger players anyways up here, so I will be thinning out the ranks here a little bit. Tight ends, same thing. John Pryor, I'm not really sure if he's the big solution to whatever we might want to change up top. We've got Chig, who's fantastic. He's an X factor now. Josh Whyle is here. We've got Noah Clancy. So again, very happy with this combination. I don't think that we need another tight end here unless a superstar would drop into our laps. We've got the left tackle position. Joe Alt will be up for a contract negotiation next year. We're looking at Patrick Paul. We're looking at Eddie Carruthers, 22 and 65. Again, practice squad player. I think if he can grow to something like a 70 around the 23-year mark, I feel like that would then really make sense to keep him around. The left guard, Peter Skoronski, now a superstar, of course. Netane Muti is there. Don Kincaid is here. Center, Dylan McMahon. That's fantastic. Aaron Brewer. Right guard, Graham Barton. Dylan Reynolds. That works for me. Everything works for me. Nicholas Petit-Frere, again, I was a little bit questioning this one here, but we're going to stick with him. Jaelyn Duncan, 27-78. This is a very good replacement player, all right? Very, very good. and we have a player in the practice squad that could be an interesting prospect for the future. If he breaks into the low 70s, I could see myself using him instead of Jaelyn Duncan as a replacement. On left edge, James Houston's doing so well, no reason to change that. Neil Wilcox will be the player of the future. We will just be training him further, so that's that. On right edge, Jeffrey Simmons, 30 and 98. He is up for contract negotiations coming in the coming season. So that then, of course, is a big question for us. What do we want to do with him? He's 28.3 mil on the salary cap. All right, that is a huge chunk, and I'm not really sure if I really want to keep him around or if we trade him away right now in this offseason. I was thinking of slapping him over to be a D-tackle, but over here I really want to see Adisa Isaac take over the helm and just be my starting right edge, even if it means a compromise in quality might be the case. But again, I just don't see that tag being really worth it. D-tackles, we've got Tier Tart, 30 and 87. It's the same exact thing. He's going to want a bunch of money to stay around. He has only 1 year on his contract. Now, he's got 2 years on his contract left. But again, he's approaching a certain age where I do think it might be the right time to kind of bring a generational change right now. Jarvis Ford is there. He's 24.77. I would really like to get him in the game here. Left outside linebacker Glenn Sprinkle, that works for me. Brandon Hartwell is a backup player. Mid linebacker Assis Al-Shaair, 30 and 86. I really love what this dude is doing. He's such a fantastic player. But again, we're taking a look at this one here. Same situation. He's turning 30 now, and he has the contract. He does have a contract next season, so that might not be as bad as Jeffrey Simmons' situation. But still, he will want to have a new deal, and I'm not sure if I really want to give him that. Plus, I really think at mid linebacker we need to act in one way or the other, because we've got these two here who I feel could be a very good mid linebacking combination. But we're leaning a little bit on the older side here. All right, we've got a young player, Jalen Wilcox, who is pretty young, 23.73. Is he a starter though? Poof, well, that's a good question. Not in my opinion. But then again, who knows? All right, I think it's time for a transitional year. Right outside linebacker, we do have Justin Patton, right? He's 76 rated at age 22, and we've got Malcolm Rodriguez, 28.84. And I don't want to go tearing down everything here, but I feel like we could use Malcolm Rodriguez as leverage and just trade him away. Maybe go for a good position in the draft. Maybe bring in another young player. But I feel like Justin Patton deserves a shot here. He's very young. He will keep growing. He does have a normal dev trait, but I don't care. I just think that he is really worth a try. And again, if we want to rejuvenate the team, which is definitely something that needs to happen, then that is a possible way to go for. Looking at the cornerbacks, we've got a very mixed bag here, all right? We've got Roger McCreary, we've got Christian Fulton, both 27-28, very good. Then we've got Dylan Fletcher, who's just going to overtake them this year, no questions. Caleb Farley, 28 and 85. He's a little bit on the older side and he's further down, but he's still very good. Kelvin Joseph, 27 and 80, same thing. But I feel like if I were to leverage some players, if I were to trade players, he would be one of those. And then we've got Sheldon Lowry. That's a rookie from last season. 24.66, that's just a little bit too old for that overall. Cut candidate. Derrick Knox, fantastic, 23.85. I love Terrell Burgess behind him. This is a super solid room, no further questions. And strong safety, we've got Sonny Styles, 24.86. He's just really, really good. J.L. Skinner as a super solid backup, but we have Ty Walker, who could be taken over from J.L. Skinner at some point in time during the upcoming season. And replace him altogether, next offseason, something like that. In terms of the kicker, super happy. We're not going to change a thing. And the punter, why change this? I mean, to be honest, I don't really care too much about that. And we're just going to sort by remaining year because all these players are going to be up for contract negotiations next season. All right, Jeffrey Simmons, Joe Alt, Peter Skoronski, Graham Barton, Jalen Wilcox, Patrick Paul, we've got Jarvis Ford, we've got Jalen Duncan, we've got Malcolm Rodriguez, J.L. Skinner, Dylan McMahon, Adisa Isaac, and Malik Willis. So many starters on this team are up for negotiations. And then there is a few players in here that are just absolutely crazy earners next year. And one of those, again, I'm keep returning to Jeffrey Simmons. He has regressed a bit, and as much as I like him, I feel like it is really time to look for another solution here. Malik Willis is also getting quite a lot of money in that deal. We could try and renegotiate, but we'll be doing that next season anyways. Derrick Henry, we could argue how we want to handle this one. I just think that King Henry really is deserving of this, all right? Deserving of this. Even if he's only a fullback, but then again, we can take a look at this here as well. Something that we also have to take into account, of course, is the penalty. It doesn't always make sense to just trade players away. So we have to take a look at this penalty and how hard that would hit us, because this is sort of the dead cap if we were to trade away a player right now. So we're not going to be doing anything rash, but I will make informed decisions here just to give you an overview of what we're going to be doing. All right, so the first bundle is going to be Derrick Henry and Jeffrey Simmons. I'm really torn on this one, but I just think it's the right thing to do. We are overpaying Derrick Henry for what he's adding to the team, and we would be overpaying Jeffrey Simmons if we were to want to keep him around. He's still very good. He's still very high, 96 rated. There's really nothing to be said about that. But looking at the offers that we're getting, we're just really getting offered fantastic players. I'm not looking at the older ones, but rather looking at the younger players, of course. And some of these are really fantastic. Okonkwo is being offered here, Brian Bracey, and so on. But again, we need a D-tackle anyways. We need a solution at D-tackle. Looking at this, Jordan frickin' Hall looks like the absolute fantastic solution to that. We are getting a 7th round pick along for the ride. So yeah, I think we're just going to go for this offer here and yeah, be done with that. Second deal done here. We are sending Nicholas Petit-Frere to the Lions along with Malcolm Rodriguez. We're getting Amarius Mims, so it's a positional change to be focused here on the right tackle position. We're just getting a 24-year-old player who is also better than Nicholas Petit-Frere at the moment, so we get a really solid starter, gain some age. And the Lions get a solid, experienced right tackle to slot him behind Penei Sewell. And they get a right outside linebacker in Malcolm Rodriguez. That is a position that they were looking for. And we're basically taking right guard Zavala along for the right just because we had to take some of their salary cap away. Otherwise, the deal would have fallen through. All right, next trade, we will be sending Tier Tart and Dominic Lovett, wide receiver, to the Dallas Cowboys. We will be receiving the right outside linebacker Jill Peoples and a 5th round pick for 2027. And with that, we will be plugging just an additional hole on the right outside linebacking position, as well as just receiving an additional draft pick. So there we go. Deal done. Reach the free agency recap, and just to just give you an idea who I signed. There we go. That's it. Henry Toto, we just had a need at mid linebacker. I felt like just getting a little bit of a player that was just a little bit younger. 81 rated, I feel very good. I think with that we can move on Monty Rice without losing any quality, and that will clear up some space and some cap. Again, that is important for me. Apart from that, all the trades went through. Our salary cap did go up, so the cap room has gone up quite significantly. That is positive. Apart from that, I'm just going to be moving through this here once more, just for you to take in, to get an idea which teams signed who. I really feel like there were some very nice signings, and you know, clicking through, you can see which teams really signed a lot of players because the logo just keeps popping up over and over and over. So far, I've had the Packers pop up quite often. And the Browns are always popping up, also popping up quite often. Big names out there, yes, but when you look at the overalls, not huge player names, not huge players that have moved teams for the most part, all right? Definitely good players, definitely interesting players, But yeah, again, the overalls, the superstar players are all very old. And yeah, they're just going to regress pretty quickly. So, final trade before we kick off the draft. We are sending Dylan Redunce and Monty Rice to the Bears, and we're receiving a 3rd round pick for this draft. Now, you'll see why I did that in just a moment when we complete the draft and then take a look at the provisionary team. So there we go. Moving through the first 10 picks, pick by pick, just to see which players go where, and after that, we'll be picking ourselves. So Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver, Ohio State, moving to the San Francisco 49ers. Next up, Dylan Raiola, quarterback out of Georgia, goes to the Saints. He was a big name. He was always pretty much on top in the mock drafts. Ryan Wingo, wide receiver out of Texas, going to the New York Giants, also pretty big name. Williams Nwaneri, right edge out of Missouri, going to the Seahawks. Next up, the Dolphins on the board. Who are they going to pick? They're going to pick Ellis Robinson, the 4th cornerback out of Georgia. So that is fantastic. 6th overall pick will be Aiden Breland, D-tackle out of USC, will be moving to the Panthers. The Jets will be picking Elijah Rushing, left edge out of Arizona. That's a good name for that position, by the way. Julian Sayin, quarterback out of Alabama, joining the Patriots with the 8th pick. The 9th pick, Kevin Page, cornerback out of Temple, will be going to the Buccaneers. And finally, the Broncos will be picking David Stone, right edge out of Oklahoma. All right, that was the top 10 picked in a live fashion, if you want to see it that way. And yeah, next up, we're going to be moving through our picks. Zach Linsley, left guard, 6'6", 335 pounds, 22 years old, left-handed, out of Georgia with a hidden depth trait. That is really fantastic. The skills are as follows. And yeah, pretty happy with that pick. Again, we just need some depth on the offensive line. And I think Jack Linsley will be fitting in quite well there. Pick number 2, tight end, number 10, George Temple, 6'6", 252 pounds. Again, age 22, right-handed, out of USC, hidden depth trait. And that is pretty good because that gives me an idea of what to do with the tight end and fullback position. I think you all know what's going to happen. Josh Whyle is going to be moving over to fullback again, and we're going to be moving a new player to tight end. I feel like George Temple is it's looking pretty good already. 3rd round pick. I went for a wide receiver this time around. It's a playmaker, 6'9". He's just a giant, 201 pounds, 22 years old, right-handed, at a UAB college, and his skills are just looking really good. Pair that with the height. Really like what this one is looking like. I had him as a favorite before anyways, so yeah, I was gonna put him there all the time anyways. Just picked him up here, 3rd round pick, and that's Stephen Marino for you. Alright, so I decided to pick up another quarterback. Not looking to get any mentors anymore now. I want to have a young QB that can follow in the footsteps of Levis and Willis. And that is probably going to be Mike Kramer. Let's see how he turns out, of course. But 5'10", 214 pounds, 22 years old, right-handed, out of UAB. Again, a hidden depth trait on a freaking run here right now. He's pretty good in the short accuracy, play action category. Apart from that, a lot of things that really need work. But yeah, like in this one. Time for the draft recap, and now we will see which players we picked and how they are shaping up to be. Well, the first one, Jack Linsley, I already showed you him while drafting live, basically. But here he is, rookie out of Georgia, hidden depth at 75 overall. I like this, of course, because it means he can move straight into the team. He might even be able to replace one of the older players. Let's just see how we handle this. Again, I'm looking to rejuvenate the squad. That is a big target of mine. George Temple, 75 rated rookie. This is a tight end. Really like this. Again, he can move straight into the team. Fantastic. Stephen Marino, what a find, man. 81 overall, this rookie out of UAB here. And he is already looking super nice, actually. He was a UDFA, so I'm loving this one here. I'm really loving this one. Apart from that, who else did we get? We got Kramer, Mike Kramer, 66 rated with a hidden depth trait. With a 70, of course, with the temporary buffs that we are getting through the staff buffs. But yeah, he has time to grow. Not putting any pressure there. Who else is here? James Knight, right edge, 66 rated rookie out of Clemson. Again, I needed some depth at that position. I am missing a player to be a backup for Adisa Isaac. Let's see if we don't bring in someone else. DeMarco Footy, this is a strong safety, rookie out of Nebraska, 67 rated. This is more or less how it did go on. We did strike lucky here with Walter Griffin, running back. Not that we really need one, but you know, why not have one in case of injury? We can slap him onto the practice squad and be done with it. And then we have some more players down here, 6th and 7th rounders. Daniel Gallery, a cornerback. I went for another D tackle, 68 rated James Choice out of Tennessee. Denzel Davis, wide receiver, 67. Right edge, Stephen Dalton out of Temple, 67. And Thomas Friedman, 66. This is the final pick that we went for. All right, so everything said and done. The draft is completed. And yeah, we're going to be taking a look at the team before we head off into preseason. We've completed the draft and the trades in the offseason and the free agency period. This is what the team looks like right now. I didn't do anything more, no more tinkering. We're just going to be moving into the preseason now. But the team, as you can see, is looking extremely solid up front. We really I think we plugged that hole on the right tackle position. Very happy with that one. We also brought in Lindsley here, who I feel like could take over from Netane Muti here as a backup. That is actually not even that bad of an idea. We also have Zavala here, who came in. He was kind of on trade package deal. Didn't mind too much that he joined. Let's see how we handle that. We might even slap Lindsley over there and cut Zavala. We've got Temple now on the tight end group here between Okonkwo and Clancy. We're looking at this group of players here, where Steven Marino has already slotted in at the wide receiver number 4. The quarterback room, of course, Malik Willis leading it because Will Levis is still out injured for 14 more weeks. He's going to miss so much time. And then we've got here Kramer, of course. We've got Tyjae Spears, Chris McAdams. We've got JD Bradley and Bennett. So a lot of potential in there as well. On the defensive side, I think we also kind of fixed a few things here. Especially the linebacking situation was one that was a little bit questionable. We brought in To'oto here. I think we completely fixed the outside linebacking position. Usually it would be Peoples and Patton. I don't really know why there's nobody right there. But again, this is not my manual depth chart. This is just the automatic depth chart that was fixed. We can see Adisa Isaac is here. We can see Hall there. We can see James Houston the 4th. And so on and so forth. So I will be tinkering with this in the preseason, of course, but for now, this is the team as it stands, and this is the end of the off-season episode. Again, I'm going to say thank you so much for being along for the ride here, for joining me. We're going to be moving into preseason next, and then, of course, shaping this squad to get its final form. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do drop a like. Please subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. Much appreciated. See you next time.